everyone. Hi, and welcome to Saturday Noon Live with Tara. Today we're actually going to be doing our usual chat, and as you guys know, we are on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. But the live is on Instagram, so the guest is going to be on Instagram on Tara Sharma Show. So I'm really excited to be doing a live with someone who's really fantastic. We're going to be having an Equestrian Olympian here with us, who's also a mentor and trainer and coach. So I'm going to let you guys start joining before I add him on. And sorry, as you guys know, we're live on all platforms, but the actual live with Imtiaz will be here on Instagram. So I'm going to let him join in just a minute. Hi, Mane. Hi, Captain Jack Sparrow. Wow. Hi, Manu. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Sorry, sip of coffee. Hi, Rania on YouTube. So everyone on Facebook and YouTube, do join Instagram, which is Tara Sharma Show. But there will also be an edited version on YouTube very soon. So thank you so much, guys, for joining. And in about a minute, I'm going to let Imtiaz on. So anybody who has questions, please send them in. And I'm going to get started in just a minute. So I think let's let him come on live. Thank you everyone who's joined us. And after we chat with Imtiaz, as always, as you know, I go live with 3 people every Saturday noon live with Tara. So we'll say a quick hi to a couple more people. So I'm just going to let Imtiaz on. Afreen, thank you so much. We are fine. Touch wood. I hope you are too. Hi 7169. Hi Rashmi. Hi everyone who's joined. It's amazing having you all here as always. Hi Manmay. Hi Amitio. Hi Just Feel the Love. Thanks everyone for joining. And I'm now going to invite Imtiaz on in just a sec. Hi Imtiaz. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good. Thank you. I have your book here, and I'm so sorry it was a few minutes delayed, but I must tell you that our chats are very informal. And currently, you are on a phone balanced on a stack of books on Insta, but there's also Facebook and YouTube happening on the side on my computer. But the thing is, they can't see you, so I'm just giving them a peek of you. But then what will happen is we'll edit it and it will also go on to YouTube. So anyone who asks me questions on on YouTube and Facebook, I'll be able to share them with you too. And before we begin, I must tell you and all our viewers that while we have some amazing questions, we also sometimes get some random comments. So just not to kind of be too focused on that, because I don't like turning the comments off. So just so that you're cool with that. So how are you, Imtu?
I'm very well. Really looking forward to this chat.
Same here. And before we get into even introducing you with all the aplomb that goes with it, I have to ask you, when I was doing a little bit of research, considering I've known you since I was very little, I'm very confused because I've always known you being called Imtu. But then I saw an interview where you were called Imti. So
this is a very good question. So all my friends and family in India, they call me Imtu, and all my friends and people that know me overseas call me Imti. So I immediately know who you are when how you address me. So it's either Imtu, Imti, or Imtiaz.
Okay, good. That's great to know, because I was like, oh my God, did I go through my whole childhood like hearing this wrong? Because I was Imtu. So we've got Imtiaz Anees here with us, everyone. Imtiaz Imtu is an Equestrian Olympian, and he's a trainer, a mentor, and he has an amazing riding school on the beach, which is called Seahorse Equestrian. So really, did I get that right?
Yes. Seahorse Equestrian Training. Yeah.
Yes. So there's loads to chat about, but I must tell you, I've known Imtiaz ever since I was quite little, and I read the book and I just couldn't put it down. I have to tell you, it's a really wonderfully easy read, and I say that because I'm not a very good reader. So frankly, if I'm honest, it takes me a while to get into a book, and I I need a book that I can. And I kept telling myself, is this because I know him and there are so many characters that I know and I so identify with because I love riding too and I love horses as well. But then I realized that it's actually way beyond. It's a story, as you so rightly said, of following your dreams and of inspiration and what it takes to follow your dreams. So it's not so much just about riding and horses as it is about the journey of a sports person and of someone who knows what they want at a very young age. So on that note, we've got Imtiaz here with us. Yay! and to start with Imtiaz, so before we get into everything about the book, how did you actually decide to write a book? How did it all come up? Did you kind of feel you were at a point that you wanted to share this story and you reached your, how did the idea of the book happen?
Tell my story. No, I wouldn't say write a book. I mean, actually, it's really tell my story because I really feel that and it was and the main reason to do so was really to inspire the younger generation to say, live your dream. A life is short. You only have one life, and go for it. And I had, when you read the book, I had more failures than success. So people might think, how can he write a book when he has more failures than success? But that's life. You do have a lot of failures, but never to stop, never to give up, never give in. Just keep pushing through and you will achieve it.
Absolutely. I think that's such amazing advice. And on the Tara Sharma Show, which is the more formal show I do, we've had some sports people on. And what I've noticed is consistently they have that approach of never giving up. Right. And I think that's so meaningful to all of us, especially as young parents, to transfer to our kids of not being afraid of failure. I remember in the book, I literally got really quite choked up when you were so excited about the Asian Games the first time and, were all excited. And then suddenly you open the paper to find your name not there. Right. So as much as one says you get through failure, what was it actually like at that time? Like, I'm sure you had feelings of wanting to give up. How did you get through that kind of thing?
So I think the main thing is, whenever you go through a failure like that, it's all about the support team. That's why I keep telling everybody, and that's what the book is about. It's that they're just amazing people that actually come together to achieve your goal, And when I had that setback, the first thing, I mean, it was hard. I mean, I was totally crushed. And when I was talking to my parents, and the first thing, they both asked me was, what do you want? And I said, to represent India. They said, then get back on the saddle. There was no choice. If I had even said, well, I'm not sure, or if they had said, now you've already given it your best, you've done all the trials, you actually did get selected, you are wearing the Indian blazer. I even had the blazer to leave. I was leaving the next day, so that you actually achieved your goal. But they didn't say that. They said, no, you haven't, for whatever reasons. I mean, I'm not, even in the book, I don't get into the reasons and the bureaucracy or the politics. That's life. There's always going to be bureaucracy. There's always going to be politics. There's always going to be somebody's used some connection to get something and you have got left out. Just move on. Go to another playing field. Raise the standard.
You went to Tokyo and they didn't let you in even to the Olympic village. I mean, none of the Olympic village. I'm getting all muddled up, but they didn't let you in, and I felt really, really quite heartbroken. But I'm so glad that what ran through your book as well was, as you mentioned, such amazing mentors and friends. And I think that is something that we don't hear a lot of when it comes to sports people. We always hear of, yes, parents supporting them, and really
coaches.
That's what we do. Actually, we do hear of mentors, but I read a lot about friends, which I found very interesting because very often, a sport which is kind of a solo sport, you become quite insular in terms of you're just focusing on that. But it was really heartening to see how a lot of your friends rallied around to help you even academically and do your notes and in Sana. And I, of course, finding all these familiar names, I suddenly met Shazmin the other day and I said, oh my God, is Shujat? Is that Shuju? Is that your grandfather who inspired you at Sana? So now going back in time, I mean, I'm a young mom and I just can't picture a 12-year-old going to boarding school. And my husband was in Doon, so we've had this discussion. And when you were crying on that train and when your lovely mom, Rashida auntie, was running beside you on the platform, I was like literally getting teary. So what was that like? How did you do that? I know it was heart-wrenching, but...
you know,
I
it was
don't know what.
heart-wrenching for everybody. It was heart-wrenching for
Yes.
everybody. So it's the whole family. My mom and dad were crying out here. I'm crying out there. Everybody's upset, but they stuck with it. You know, they knew what was best for me. You know, it really made a man out of me because, we were I was a timid boy. I wasn't a strong, tough, or, a strong fellow. All I did was love horses. I wasn't very studious. So for them, they felt that, and we're all from a little privileged background. We went to a good
Yeah.
school, things were, done for us. So they realized that, and they realized, no, otherwise he'll just be like, I hate to say it in that way, but a little bit of a mama's boy, so they said, no, we got to send him out, even though it's going to hurt us, even though we want him next to us, it's good for him. So that's the reason they sent me. But then I met such amazing people at the school also, like so many friends who helped me, protected me. And that's where the whole friendship, till today, we're still very close friends, This is now, you're talking about 30 and 40 years ago, and we're still extremely strong friends. And that's what life is about. It's the journey.
Absolutely. And giving a shout out to our common first school, Bombay International.
Yes.
I think that maybe, that there is a huge emphasis also there, I think, on following your dreams and being who you are. And maybe somewhere there was a little bit of that happened. But kudos to your parents for doing that, because I know now as a parent, I would find it very hard to, as much as I know tough love and all that, I think it's a very big thing to be able to do. So I really felt for all of you there. And also it struck me that I always knew that you were fantastic as a rider, as a kid. And I used to see you at the race course, and I feel very, very privileged that at one point I had the honor of sharing your amazing, amazing horse, Arizona. And, till today, that's such a special time for me in my life. And I actually came third in the nationals, and frankly, now when I read the book, and of course I knew then, but maybe when I was a kid, it didn't strike me. It was all thanks to you and the horse and Diana and the training and Arizona being so amazing. I think I just sat on him.
No. It's all a team effort. It's all a team effort. But that was such a lovely and wonderful time. That's the beauty of it. We did it as friends. Even till today, we can talk about it. 30 years, we're still in touch. We still, it's and it's the bond that we had through the horses.
Absolutely. But what I was coming to also is that you must have been so exceptionally good if you were in boarding school and you still managed to keep up with the riding. Because I know for me, for those few years when I was very obsessed with riding, it was morning and evening, morning and evening, morning and evening. And so how did you actually manage that? Because did you have any riding at Sanaa, or were you only doing the riding in the holidays and all the other sports in Sanaa?
Yeah, when I was in Sanaa, I played a lot of sports. So that way, that really helped. So you kept your fitness going, and but riding, there was no riding. I think that's the reason I was sent to Sanaa, was to get away from the horses a little bit, because I was too obsessed by them. But when I came home, that's all I did, morning and evening. But again, I could catch up because I had Diana, so she was my coach. I don't think the viewers know that because we haven't really brought her into the story. But she was an expat's wife that came to India, and one most accomplished rider who actually just took a liking to me and became like a family member. And Tara, she trained me from 11 to 30 to the Olympic Games. I don't think anybody has a trainer and a mentor who they met when they were 11 years old and actually was with them at the Olympic Games, So, and there was never a misunderstanding during that time. There was never a hiccup. There was never any doubt in my mind. It was blind faith because of the type of person she was. And what's even more amazing, there was no exchange of money. It was just from the goodness of her heart, because she just loved the family, loved India, and saw that determination and dedication in me that I was never late for a lesson. If a lesson was 6, I always tell people even I was there at 5 to 6, I would have been late. I was always there well before, dressed, warmed up, and waiting for her. So, she's like, oh my God, this boy just doesn't stop. He's just, a glutton for punishment.
Wow, that's amazing. And that actually also comes to this whole question of when do you really know what you want to do in life? Because I think, frankly, many people don't know till much
Absolutely.
later.
And that's fine.
I think there are a few people maybe who really know at a young age. And it seems to me from the book that as you keep, as you refer to the fact that from 5 and 6 you were, speaking your victory speeches at home and creating your imaginary world of representing India. And so the fact that you knew that at such a young age is quite something. Because I know for me, although I love driving, I always knew that was a hobby, and I wasn't looking. So the fact that you knew at that age, and it took me a while to figure out what I want to do. So do you think that for a sports person to really achieve and be and get to that level like the Olympics? Do you think it's something you have to kind of be almost born with and know at such a young age, or do you think it can also happen later in life?
No, definitely can come later in life as well, but depends upon your sport, especially in our sport, equestrian. It can definitely come later because the sport, you actually peak when you're 30 to 45. It's not like every
Oh,
other sport when you're 18 to 24, your careers, that's when your peak of your careers. Because the
yeah,
experience that you required in equestrian comes with years and years of riding, years and years of spending time with your horse and people. But having
yeah,
said what you said, I think the discipline has to be instilled into kids at an early age. I think that is
yeah,
important. They must know what resilience is. Like even I have a son, he's a 15-year-old,
yeah,
he plays tennis, he plays football. For me, when he says he's going to do something, I make sure that it's done. That's the only thing. There's
yeah,
no, oh, today's raining, or today I'm tired, or today. No, there are no
yeah,
excuses. If you've
yeah,
committed yourself to something, whatever it is, it could be in
yeah,
sport, could be in art, could be in business, could be in anything, see it through. Because once you start
absolutely.
quitting, then then you can. It's not something that
Yeah,
becomes a norm, but then you always think, should I not? I don't have that. Even till today,
yeah.
I'm 50 years old. I hate to say my age like that, but if
While
if
I'm
I've
telling you,
committed.
although I knew you in childhood, I was much, much, much younger.
Yes, yes, yes. Very young. You're still much, much younger.
Just
but
telling,
but
just clarifying
no,
that.
absolutely. But it's like
Absolutely.
I still get up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm still, if a student has a lesson, I'm never late for a lesson. I make it a point
Yeah,
that I'm always 5 minutes earlier. I don't walk in
yeah,
and expect the student to be there. No, because you have to lead by example so that these children understand. Well, the number one thing I always tell people is get up, make your bed, and show up. That's the
that's
start.
amazing. Yeah,
Then you
yeah,
move on to the rest of your activities, whatever your dream could be. And if you don't
yeah,
have your dream or you haven't found your calling, it's absolutely fine. It will come,
yeah.
but it's the way of life.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's very impressive because I see again in the book how you often would wake up your mom and they would have had a late night, and
Yes,
that's incredible because I know that again from having been someone who's written as a kid, when you really are excited about it, you just wake up. And it's interesting how you do it. Like our kids, our younger one is obsessed with football. So he never complains about the 6 a.m. football. And in
yeah.
fact, I think now with this lockdown, it's one of the things they miss the most that we
Yes, it's
can't
really
do
been
that kind
hard,
of thing.
very hard on the kids.
And in fact, riding, I must say, came back into my life because of the lockdown, because I had completely stopped. I got very afraid after I stopped when I went to university and stuff. And I have this wonderful memory of you actually coming and giving me a beautiful photo of Arizona. And I had it on my wall when I went to school. And I
Yeah,
went at 15, 16, so it was
right.
older than when you went.
Yes,
But those bonds, coming to those bonds between human being and horse, you described them so beautifully, right from Rajesh and Baggy, and of course Arizona, and all of them. Um, were they all very, very, very different? And I would never ask you to pick a favorite because I don't think one
I'm
could ever
glad.
do that.
I'm glad.
Um, yeah, I would never expect that. But how, I don't know, like I understand when you have a horse for a long time and you get to know the horse, like with Arizona or Rajesh, but when you pick a lot, which happens when you compete internationally and in these big tournaments, from what I've seen, you have 2 days to get used to the horse. How do you do that? I mean,
So, the whole thing is having these bond with horses. You got to spend time with them. You got to know them inside out. Even in my equestrian center right now in Nargol, it's called the Sea Horse Equestrian Training. And it's all about not just a riding lesson. Nowadays people, when you go anywhere, it's like any other sport. You go, you play your game and you come home. For me,
yeah,
these kids, that happens in the morning. Then the rest of the day, it's about spending time with the animals, whether we are medicating them. Sometimes they need ice, sometimes they need poultice, sometimes, how much feed they're giving. I make my students do that. We have staff, but I want the students to learn so that they understand how much we feed, when we feed, which horse we feed. Everything is custom for each horse. So once they really get to know their horses, they start bonding with them. So just like this book, how people say, how did the book come about? It was the horses. Because once I remember because I never forget my names of my horses, all the stories around them came about, Even, Tara, this is quite silly, but even in my stables right now, I have a brass plaque for every horse. Every stable is dedicated to one of my horses. So
wow,
Rajesh has one, Arizona has one, like you said, Baggy, and all my Olympic, national. So every horse is very, very special. So as you spend more and more time with them, you build up that relationship, and each horse takes you to a stage in your life. You know, it's a bit like when you drive your first car. You don't, you know, at 18, when you first get your license, you don't go and sit in a Rolls Royce, or you don't go and sit in a sports car. You sit in a smaller car, you get comfortable. So every horse, like, you know, in our equestrian sport, it goes on star level. 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. So there was a 1 star horse that came into my life. Then another horse took me to 2 star. Another horse took me to 3 star. So different horses do different things in your life, and you build that bond between them. And each one is a little different, you know. And the more you spend with them, it's really, really special. I just love it.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's amazing. Now, what about fear? I mean, I'm coming now as a parent. I have to say that when I in lockdown decided I want to go back and try and ride, I was amazed at how it all came back. And in a minute, I felt like I was 12 again. And, you know, it took me back to that, and I loved it. And I took our kids. But if I'm honest, deep down within, I didn't want them to love it as much as I do, because I was nervous, you know, and I was much more nervous for them, because I guess when you have ridden, you also know what, God forbid, could happen.
Absolutely.
And somehow,
Absolutely.
I remember as kids, even in Mahabaleshwar, Mathiran, I would never like gallop in the polo ground without a hat for sure. But I had friends who had never ridden who would be so fearless because they perhaps didn't know the other side.
Right.
So my question is, what about fear? Because you seem fearless, but how were you ever scared? Were your parents scared? They must have been.
Yes, definitely. And, you know, competing at that international level, my sport, which I don't think your viewers know, is called 3-day eventing. So it's a totally different. It's not only the show jumping, only dressage. There's a cross-country phrase. And that is a tough phrase. So you're galloping 4 to 5 kilometers at a very high speed, uphill, downhill, big ditches, big jumps. You know, you've shown it on your video as well before the show, just to give them a little glimpse of what I actually do. So there is not a fear factor. Even in the morning of the show, you know, you're absolutely shaking, you're white, you know, you're just scared. So the only thing to do, believe, is to keep yourself, for me, I keep myself extremely busy, you know. So I'm not thinking about it, because the minute you sit down to think, you're like, no, I can't do this. This is, you know, I'm not going to get into that start box. But, you know, you trust your animal, you've practiced. It's not something you're just going in the cold. So those sort of things prepare you a little bit, that you know, okay, anything can happen. Today you can be driving a car and a car accident can happen, you know. But you always tell people that who are you know, when you're learning to drive, you give them as much experience as possible. You let them practice as much as possible. So the same thing with the horses. You know, be safe. Always wear a helmet. Wear the right shoes. You know, be in a right environment where it's closed, enclosed. Sometimes, you know, start small. You know, people start becoming the, you know, Bahubali of the and then say, no, we can just go galloping. Then that's dangerous. But if you manage it correctly, it's like anything in life. It's all about, you know, taking each step as it comes.
Absolutely. And a very, very simple question. But, you know, when we were kids, we didn't have those life vests that now the kids all wear. So is that something you would recommend for everyone?
Definitely. No, I think it's all about safety. So I think it's, you know, if you can afford it, you can have it. Definitely. It's an extra jacket that you put on that really helps the horses, because, you know, if the chest is protected. So I think it's always good. You know, I mean, it's like anything in life, you know, science has come in, things have changed. You know, if you look at even a race car driver, the helmets that they used to wear before and the helmets that they wear now have totally changed. So therefore, there's, you know, they've realized how much safety is. Crash tests are being done. Same with equipment. You know, if you look at tennis in the old days, they used to play wooden rackets. Now they play with graphite rackets. So everything has changed, and we have to change with the times, you know, because technology is coming, new things are coming, and it's all about safety. So we should stick with it.
So now coming to the Olympics, how did that happen? You've mentioned several people who inspired you and helped you, even when it came to giving you horses to ride and different jobs. And I know you had that wonderful experience in Australia. So how did the Olympics happen? And it was a childhood dream, but tell us a little bit about that whole journey.
So it's a long. We'll be here for about 2 hours. Exactly. They got to read the book. But it was quite interesting, because, you know, it was like such a pipe dream. You know, I didn't even have a horse. I had never ridden at that level. Then when I got the horse, we were not. He was not at that level. You know, most people buy a horse that's already at least at that level, and then they get the experience. You know, for us, we were both learning together. So that was the special part about it. You know, me and Spring and Vader getting that bond and going up the grades ourselves, traveling around to all the, you know, national competitions in Australia. And so it was very, very amazing. But again, people, like the amount of coaches I had mentors, And it was amazing. Like at one stage in the book, as you talk about failure, like you talked about the Asian game, there was another time where, you know, one of my horses broke his leg, and I just started the whole Olympic bid, and I thought maybe this is a sign. You know, we Indians, we are very superstitious. You know, obviously now this is a sign that's come that now we have to, it's not for us and we should just come back home, you know. And at that time, like literally an angel came, you know, like, so one of the colleges that I had gone to, you know, he was a senior senator, he was on the board, and his wife just, you know, makes a call to me just as a general call to say, how are you, and how's your training going? And I just was, you know, about to cry because I was so upset, and I just, you know, put my heart on her to tell her this is what's happened. She's, oh my God, I'm coming and picking you up. And she just came like 4 hours away, packed my bag, and we went to her house, and I lived with her for 3 years till the Olympics. So you know, it was these sort of stories that the book is about, that the universe does come together if you have if your goal is true, and you're hardworking, good. They could see that. I never slept in. I never said I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, it's raining today, I won't ride. No. Never had a day off because I just could not take that. You know, I just said no. I got to work as hard as I can, and even harder, because my goal is a bit, you know, out of my comfort zone as well. And then, of course, the whole thing of actually Diana coming and, you know, having all those last minute problems of actually, you know, qualifying, and then you have to be ranked in the world. So it was just lots of things that really happened. And then, you know, the whole, it's like the whole universe came together and said, we're going to make it happen for you, Imti. And it did. You know, I got the phone call from the Olympic Committee that you're in, and, you know, we'll see you at the Olympic Games.
Wow, so amazing. And see you at the Olympic Games, and what timing. I'm sure the book coming out now, of course, was perhaps, again, some sign, and I'm sure it was done in a way, but the fact that Fuad Mirza, of course, is right there right now. So what are your sort of, what would be your message to him? Or
so I think Fuad has done the right thing. You know, I mean, he's also a young boy, extremely talented. You know, he left also India 4 years ago, just the way I did, lived in Europe. I was in Australia, and has really worked very, very hard. And, you know, even people say after 21 years, but it's fantastic for our sport. And even more fantastic, Tara, is that yesterday he did the first phase of our event, which is dressage, and he had a smashing test. So he's in the top 10, which is unheard of, you know. So it's a huge boost for India, for Indian sports. And I'm just, you know, just keeping my fingers crossed that it continues for day 2 and day 3. Our sport is very unforgiving. It's not like every other sport. It's just like, you know, on that day, how good you are. You have to maintain that performance for the next day, and there's the third day. So I hope he stays in good health, mentally and physically. His horse stays sound, and they go get that medal for us.
Wow, it's so incredible, so fantastic. And I cannot talk about riding without mentioning the Amateur Riders Club. So for anyone out there who's watching and who wants to learn, or wants their kids to learn, it's really the starting place, I think, for everyone when it comes to whether one goes hugely professional like this, or whether, you know, even as an Imtiaz, of course, is being very modest, but apart from his eventing and dressage and show jumping and cross country and all that, he also at one point wanted to be a jockey, right? And won the Gymkhanas, which I remember I was so petrified even to watch, no, let alone try to part. I was petrified. So you really have to have like huge amount of skill and guts to be able to do all that. But it all starts at the ARC. And so again, you know, it's so interesting because one sees how different kids, it just shows how everybody is so different, right? So even if you're having similar experiences, what you're feeling within can be so different. And I think what's wonderful about riding is it allows everyone to figure themselves out, and whether they want to do it in just just to enjoy sitting on a horse, or whether I think at one point you even say about, you know, just feeling the wind and the, you know, cantering and feeling the speed. For some people it's that, and for somebody else it's about actually the skill. And so now talking about mentors, you've mentioned Diana, and I remember Diana, she was amazing. And of course, the other mentors that came along, again, I would never ask you to pick one. But do you think that that makes a huge difference too? As in, if you had not found the right teacher or the right person, do you think that you would have gone seeking, or do you think you might have, I won't use the word given up, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that as we talk more about sports which are not necessarily as mainstream, there are people here who are writing. I saw a comment saying, how do you take part in the Asian Games? I'm trying to find that comment now. But basically my question is that you're doing a lot now for the sport, right? To raise awareness, and you have your riding pool. I guess deep down it's also with the view to let more people have an opportunity like this. So what do you
Exactly.
think we could do at a policy level, at a more macro level when it comes to India about promoting sport? Because, I'm sure you saw the tweet just yesterday, mentioning something about the living conditions of some sports people. And some of these things only come to light once they achieve, right? Because
Yes.
then only they're
Yes.
in the. So what would you want, at a more macro level when it comes to equestrian and all sports, really? What do you
So I
think would
think,
be?
it's quite an open-ended question because there's quite a lot there. But I think the main thing is that we have to get into our culture at a young age. People have to understand in India, playing sport is not going down to your down in the building in your playground and playing football and cricket. That is not
Yeah.
sport. We
Yeah.
have to incorporate the college that they have to join an institution where discipline, so they get up at a specific time, they reach there, the warm up is correct, they actually play the sport, whatever. If they're good or bad has no meaning. It's just that it just shows them that they have to do it every single day. There are no days off. And
Yeah.
that's how life is. When you go to school, what's the whole main idea of school? Is to dress up, wear a uniform, be neatly tried, and show up, be on time. There's a school bell. You come late, you get punished. Same thing with college, same thing with life. When you go to a business and you go to a meeting, if you're young and intern and want to move up the ranks, be early, don't, it's a meeting at 7 o'clock, don't come at 6:55. That's already being
Yeah.
late. So these are the
Yeah.
things that sport teaches you at a very young age. Horses teach you even more, because it's not only about you. Like I mentioned earlier, like every other sport, like cricket and all, you can put the ball into a kit. Once you finish the game, all your equipment goes into a bag and you forget about it. With horses, whether you had a good day, whether you had a bad day, you still have to brush it, clean it, groom it, look after it. So it builds character.
Yeah.
It's the only sport where men and women can compete together. So I always say that just shows you that there's no strength involved, there's no stamina involved. It's tact, it's finesse, it's bond, it's caring. So it's a wonderful sport for even though those who are not very sporty. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to
Yeah.
be a sporty build. So if you're not the fastest runner, you're not the best football bowler, equestrian could be a lovely sport for them, because it
Yeah.
gives them so much confidence that they're in control of that horse. So a lot of people, it helps them even outside just sport, like kids who are not for introverts, or they're a little bit staying in their shell. Horses brings it out.
Yeah.
Because if they go to a sports field, they'll get crushed because they won't be able to run that fast and they're not that
Yeah.
strong. While here, it's on their own, it's just them and their horse, and they can still perform at a very good level. So that's what I love about this sport. Now, coming to your policies and procedures, I think, just coming back, is start them young at schools and colleges, the culture, not the
Yeah.
sport. The sport has no meaning. We have to inculcate the culture.
Absolutely, that's true. The culture of sport has to be ingrained in kids from a very young age. I totally agree, and I myself, as a family, we're quite sporty. And I think this whole lockdown, again, it's impossible to have a conversation today without talking about the pandemic and this new
Of course.
world that we're in. And, one of the things that I think I've thought about a lot is sports people, especially youngsters who are training. This has been such a difficult time because suddenly
Right.
all their training has gone upside down. And I see it, as I mentioned, even with our own kids, missing, and we try and compensate. And in fact, I've become quite a good footballer because the four of us play in the garden because there wasn't an option
Right.
while it was a full lockdown. But speaking of that, I don't know what we could do in big city schools because they're trying very hard to incorporate more sport. And, I think people who have access to clubs and stuff do that as much as possible. But I totally agree, Imtiaz. I think it's a great point that we need to have even more of a culture of sport. Sport can't just be a co-curricular activity. It has to be
Absolutely.
part of the mainstream curriculum. And I think it's definitely so
Yeah,
important.
because
So
it
that's a
teaches them
really
so much
great
of
point.
teamwork, comradeship,
Yeah.
more, and things that are going to hold you in good stead to work together. You cannot be selfish if you're in football. You cannot be selfish if you work in a team sport,
Yeah.
in the individual sport also. So it teaches you far more than just, and that's what even this book, when you read it, it's my journey. Yes, it's equestrian related, but actually the stories you'll get out of it is, wow, it's about just being resilient.
Absolutely. And this is what has been one of the reasons I do my show, the Tara Sharma Show, is because I found this, whether it was talking to a Virat or a Mary Kom or a Rohit Sharma or you, or it's interesting how there's a common thread of what got them there and what they did to achieve that. And sport is always something that's so inspiring because most of the stories, I think kids especially relate and feel they can also do it because
Exactly. Yes.
it's as you say many times in the book, which I found very interesting, that talent is actually a small part of it. It's the hard work that's bigger.
Always.
And I
Always.
think Diana said that to you, and I think that's something that's so it's so important to know because a lot of times you feel like, oh, I may not be as talented as someone else, but then if you put in the hard work, you just may achieve,
Yes.
even more. So that's amazing. So I found this comment here where we have Suren saying, Imtiaz sir, after completing nationals, how do I get to the Asian Games? So that's a specific question if you want to say anything that's Suren asking.
Well, if you've already done the national levels, and it depends upon which sport. I'm not sure which sport. I'm presuming is equestrian, but whatever sport, if you have to look at the qualifying requirements for the Asian Games, selection procedures, what is required, and then figure out the best way to get that. So whether
Yeah.
and what I would like to tell him is not to stay in his comfort zone. You know, go out of his comfort zone. So it's not only, well, the selection, this is the criteria, and now I'm going to get it done in my town or my city. No, he has to push himself. Whether it's going overseas, whether it's going out of his the country, whatever it takes, but to plan it. Because this is a big problem with our Indians, because we don't have enough people to plan for them. The athletes here have to do everything, which is where we lose out. There's a
Yeah.
coach and that's it. No, that's where the whole team comes together. Parents, mentor, coach, other people who've done it before, other Olympians, other Asian people, and bounce ideas through them so that you can get the best result.
Absolutely. That's great advice. So, Suren, I hope you that helped. And we've got a lot of people here saying wonderful, hi. Of course, a lot of funny comments as well. Some kisses being sent your way as well. And yeah, so basically, there's what I think is also really great to see is that a lot of people don't know that much about equestrian and horse riding and horses. And I think you did this 20 years ago, 21 years ago. Now Fuad is doing it. And I think as there's more, awareness, then more people will go and try out these new things. So please, for those of you who've never ridden and have kids who want to try, do check it out. It's amazing. So Imtiaz, any final words to all our audience, anything you'd like to say about not just the book, but just about...
Well, I have two messages. One to the parents, to say, let your children live their dream and support them. It's not only allowing them to live it, but you have to support them, but create that environment. It's not just supporting them saying, whatever you want to do, we are here. That is not support. You have to also make that environment for them to support them, because that's what it is, to push your children out of their comfort zone. Only then they're going to be extraordinary. We only live once. So make the most of it. Don't stop them. Don't make it, there are no excuses. For the kids of the younger generation that's here, if you want something bad enough, you can get it. But as I said, and rightly how you said, hard work always beats talent. Hard work ethic, just like you said when you spoke to Virat, when you spoke to or Mary Kom and all these other athletes, the same will apply to when you speak to business people. They'll all have a common thread. The same will when you apply to creative people, whether they're artists, whether they're painters, whether they're chefs. It doesn't really matter. They'll all have a common thing, and the one thing common with everybody is work ethic.
Absolutely. That's an amazing thing to say. And I think that's something we can all do, no matter where we come from, what background, what,
you don't need money.
Privilege or not, or whatever. Everyone can work hard. So that's an amazing thing to say. Another line that I read, I don't know if it was in the book or if it was in one of your interviews, where you said that successful people succeed at anything they do. And I thought that was actually a very good way of putting it, because I think if you have that
Exactly.
I remember my dad also used to say to me, once you choose to do something, without being pushy, but be the best at it. Not so much about competing necessarily with others, but even with yourself. Do the best you can do it, or don't do it. So I do kind of think that, I keep telling myself, I don't want to be a tiger mom. I don't want to be a pushy mom. I've got already our kids at that age where they don't want to tell me much. And,
yes.
You know how it is. And
yes. I have a son also, and it's the same thing. It's all monosyllables. How was your day? Good. You know,
You don't hear things unless some friend or somebody happens to tell you. So that I've now made, I've understood that's how it works. But I have to admit, I do find myself sometimes saying that, look, life is tough. You have to work really hard. And when before the kids were born, I always thought I'd be this very soft, do whatever you want, don't worry, relax. But I actually feel like I'm not that person in the same way. Like, of course, I would never push them to do something they're not equipped to do. But I feel like if you see in your kids that they have some ability, don't let them waste it. So I feel like that's something that as parents,
absolutely.
In today's world where I feel sometimes, to be very honest, I love the system of follow your dreams and absolutely, but I also feel that sometimes people are very soft about it, that you don't have to, don't worry, it's okay, just relax. But life is tough, and I do think that actually a little bit of, like you have to work hard. I think it starts quite
Yeah, and what you're saying is right. They can still choose what they want. You're not telling them that don't make them live your dream. It should be theirs. It should still be their idea. They have to still wake up in the morning, but support them, push them, find a path for them, help them if they're even struggling. That's what it's all about, Even with the equestrian part, I had a parent who came the other day and they never sat on a horse ever. And I'm saying, why would you choose this? And you know what the answer was? We want to give our child every experience.
How wonderful. Yeah,
so
wonderful.
That itself is wonderful.
Absolutely. And if they don't like something that you like, that's also fine. As I mentioned, I'm actually a little grateful that ours don't love riding. They like it, but they're more obsessed with their football and cricket. And deep down, I'll be honest, I'm quite enjoying that because then I get that time and I'm not worried or looking out for them. So I go back to being 15 and, having that experience. So, Imtu, this was so fantastic, amazing chatting. And as I said, I've read the book and I strongly recommend it. So, all of you, it will be, the link to order it will be in my story swipe up after this chat. And do get it and do spread the word. And thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much
for being here. And lots of love to your family. And as I said, for me, this was, extra special because it actually took me down memory lane and there were lots of things that I think I had forgotten. So it was very, very moving. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. And thanks for all the viewers that have come in. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, Imtu. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so we've got two more people who are just going to come and say hi. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
नमस्ते, आप कहाँ से हैं? ओह वाह, दो. हाय.
हाय.
आप लोग कहाँ से हैं?
मैं इंडिया से हूँ.
अच्छा, अभी आपने देखा हमारा लाइव प्रोग्राम देखा?
जी मैं देख रहा था.
अच्छा, वेरी गुड, थैंक यू. और इंडिया में आप कहाँ से हैं?
मैं उत्तर प्रदेश से हूँ.
अच्छा, और आप कहाँ पे हैं? दो लोग हैं यहाँ पे. आपका शायद वॉल्यूम नहीं आ रहा है. हेलो. अच्छा, उधर कोविड का सिचुएशन सब ठीक है अभी? आप लोग ठीक है?
हाँ, यहाँ सब ठीक है. इस समय उत्तर प्रदेश में कोविड केस जो हैं वो कि लगभग आपके सिर्फ 100 के लगभग हैं.
ओके, ठीक है. तो आप सेफ रहना, अगर बाहर जाएंगे तो मास्क पहनना. हाँ, थैंक यू फॉर ज्वाइनिंग.
मैम आप कहाँ से हैं? हेलो.
हाँ,
अब मैंने कहा आप कहाँ से हैं?
मैं बॉम्बे में हूँ. बॉम्बे. मैं आधा इंडियन हूँ और आधा अंग्रेजी हूँ, और मैं बॉम्बे में रहती हूँ.
बॉम्बे में.
थैंक यू. बाय.
थैंक यू. बाय
आप
बाय.
सेफ रहना, ठीक रहना. हाँ, जो दूसरा आदमी है यहाँ पे उनका आवाज नहीं आ रहा है तो सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है. हेलो. बाय.
मेरे पास यहाँ आ रहा है. मेरे पास इधर बगल में नहीं आ रहा.
अच्छा, थैंक यू. बाय.
बाय बाय.
Bye everyone. Thanks for joining Saturday Noon Live with Tara. Tara. Thank you. Bye Rahul. Bye Anees.
अरे बात कितनी बार
अभी आवाज आ रहा है।
हाँ लाइव मीटिंग चल रही है ना।
लाइव मीटिंग में ज्वाइनिंग
हाँ ज्वाइन।
बाय बाय।
बाय।